Sometimes I turn them off when they switch the batteries, just to make sure they don't go out. There we go.
And are we live yet?
Yes. There's we are live. There's no one in the stream yet. But yes.
There's no one on the Zoom yet?
No one on the Zoom yet. Yeah. So
Really?
as soon as someone comes in, I'll let them in.
Okay, great. It's like us run the party and no one came. What? Are you sure the meeting is live?
Oh, it is in progress. Yeah, but could you show the meeting on the large? Could it be that the large screen here is just showing something other than the Zoom screen? So I wonder if you could organize it otherwise on our.
What do you want to see on this large screen?
The actual Zoom event.
Okay.
Thanks. That's what we discussed with Cheryl.
Cheryl was under the impression that 9:15 is only for B'nai Mitzvah. So, we've had a B'nai Mitzvah. And it says 9:30 all over everything. Like all of our PR says 9:30. Yeah.
I even asked yesterday. 9:15? I said yes.
Yeah, I say yes.
I didn't say yes. Yeah.
Okay. I could have been reading
I told them 9:15. Sorry.
That's good.
Do you have the second volume of the Rabbi's manual here for me, Shabbat?
I don't. It's at home.
Yeah, we'll just get the rest of this. And
Deb-
Abels or Jerry Abels?
Jerry Abels is going to do the Aliyah for their anniversary, and then Debbie Cohen is for her birthday.
So you'll do that one?
I can if you want.
And I'll do Jerry.
Sure.
Anniversary.
Anniversary is for the Abels, yeah.
Okay, let me go get that.
Should I just, where should I
They're
sit?
bringing one else.
Oh. Great.
You do a free service for time.
No. I'm just too tired for this. No, too tired for L'chaim. Yeah. That's fine.
You're bringing that in.
Great.
actually just did it. I did it, and it was like, oh no. It was a big oh no for me.
Should
And
I
I'm like usually really good at those.
So when Adam's up here for Suke, should I use his microphone?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you can even move it to your podium.
I don't want to break him out.
That was great. Apparently we were starting at 9:30 and not 9:15.
I apologize. That was my mistake and Robert's as well. We both thought it was 9:15, but it's 9:30. We were all here and thank you for right here. Hi, Joey. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, I got on Sunday.
Very nice.
Need it badly too.
Will you be our second rabbi today?
Oh yes.
Who's gonna? Are you gonna first, Gabby?
I'm Mayor Klickfeld. You can get a break. I might give it to.
I remember the feeling well.
Now my teeth I was gonna say on better.
Yeah. I have that feeling too sometimes. So that
Spent so much time in school, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
I did summer school last year too, so I had like
Oh wow.
2 weeks off.
Yeah. No, it's hard to like to get out of the mentality of doing stuff. I'm good. I'm going to San Francisco on Monday after a bat mitzvah. So prepare to see Amanda and Rabbi. Yeah, good. Post Shabbat is always like a little bit easier because there's no huge holiday coming up. Though I did just send an email about Shabbat, so you know. Well on our way. When do you guys go to Chicago?
July 11th, we're in Chicago.
Oh wow. That's awesome. How long are you there for? Or you leave from there to Israel?
We don't leave. We're not coming back to LA.
Okay.
Shalom.
Driving there.
Thanks, I got on Sunday.
Good.
Thanks.
Baltimore, Minnesota, but
Got it.
Now my teeth are not gonna fall off so easily.
That's awesome. It's good to have a little
Shabbos, man.
trip before you go to Israel. See all the people before you go. That's great.
Is next year Israel?
Yeah.
Wow.
So crazy.
Wow.
I'm
That's
gonna miss
exciting.
Ben.
What's Alana gonna do?
what?
What's Alana gonna do?
She's gonna write and she's got her AJU classes and she'll have the hours. Like she'll end up having to volunteer in Israel to get classroom hours for her degree. She's in the ECE program at AJU. Yeah.
Are we gonna live yet?
I would love to, but Israelis don't think that far ahead.
Like when I tell my cousins I'm coming in November, they say,
Tell us about it.
"Kasher la biyom nasa mashu."
Yeah, exactly.
Alana just wrote a new book.
Really?
Published
Yeah,
a new
oh yeah,
book.
that's the other thing.
On
She's
Sukkot.
gonna write book number 4.
Wow.
Would you, when you are leading Sukkot, I'm just gonna stand
That's
here.
amazing.
That is a crazy scene.
Wow.
Let's meditate on that.
Since I don't have a microphone, I'm just gonna stand there while you're leading Sukkot.
Okay. We can allow people in, sir.
They're in. Oh no, they're not. Sorry. Nope. 14 months and I still don't know Zoom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom, those who are here in person. Shabbat shalom to those who are joining us via YouTube or Zoom. I'm going to welcome you by name, the ones I can see. Shabbat shalom to Bonnie and to Larry Selk. Shabbat shalom to Cheyenne. Shabbat shalom to Ed Smith. Shabbat shalom to the back racks. Shabbat shalom to Henry Morgan. Shabbat shalom to Irving. Dear Irving, we miss you. We miss all of you, but I'm saying it to Irving. Shabbat shalom to Tybal and to Tamar and to Annette and Abe and to Evelyn Steinberg and to anyone else who might be joining via YouTube. We're going to get started. 1 second. We begin with Birkot HaShachar, morning blessings. Actually, let's start with Modeh Ani, page 99 in the Lev Shalem, 61 in the Slim Shalom, 2 in the Sim Shalom. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shehechezarta bi nishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shehechezarta bi nishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha. English, yes.
My
soul
has been
Return to me as I wake with morning's light. A new day dawns.
The page has turned.
What a gift to be alive. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shehechezarta bi nishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha. How true. What a gift to be alive and to be with all of you either in person or virtually. We're going to begin the formal service with Birkot HaShachar Morning Blessings, page 103, 65, or 10. Again, the order of the pages will be Lev Shalem, Slim Shalom for Shabbat, Sim Shalom, all-purpose. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech v'bina lavchim ben yom uben laila. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam shasani betzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam shasani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam shasani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam pokei chirim. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam abi sharumim. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam oter sarim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokev kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu mecholam rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam hamechim mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam shasali kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam aser Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai mecholam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanotein leyayev koam. U'tenenu ayah b'chol yom lechen lechesed rachamim menecha v'nechol roveinu b'tikmalenu chasadim tovim baruch atah Adonai gomel chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. You may be seated. Le'olam yehei damrei shamayim b'asete magol. Ribon kol ha'amim lo tzedakah. Ki chol masenu tohu b'mei chayenu hevel lefanecha motar hadam min habehema ayin ki akol havel avanachnu mchavnei ritecha b'nei Avraham ohavcha nishbata b'oharer. Ashreinu matov cholkeinu manayim gorolinu ma'ifay yerushatenu. Ashreinu shenachnu mashmim maribim erev avokev yomarim. B'mayim b'chol yom shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai echad. Kadesh et shimcha maktishe shemecha v'kadesh et shimcha b'yolemecha v'yishurcha tarim v'tagbiyah karneinu baruch atah Adonai v'kadesh et shimcha barabim. Rabbi Yishmael Omer b'shlosh esrei midot haTorah nidrashim b'kal v'chomer b'gzera. דבר הלמד מעניינו ודבר הלמד מסופו וכן שני כתובים מחשים זה את זה שבו השלישי והכריע ביניהן. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו שתיתן חלקנו בתורתך והנה מתלמידיו של אהרון הכהן אוהב שלום ורודף שלום אוהב את הבריות ומקרבן לתורה. קדיש דרבנן 111:71 or 20. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון וביומי חון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ימרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעלמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו אלא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא וימרו אמן. על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תלמידיהון ועל כל תלמידיהון ועל כל מן דעסקין באורייתא די ויתרהדן ודי בכל אתר ואתר יהי להון ולכון שלמה רבה חינה וחיסתא ורחמין וחיין אריכין ומזונה רוויחה ופורקנה מן קודם אבוהון די ושמיא וימרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו וברחמיו יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן. Page 112. היום יום שבת קודש שבו היו הלווים אומרים בבית המקדש or 72 or 32. מזמור שיר ליום שבתו לא נאי שמר שוכר כי שימחת יפלך מעשה ידיך ארלן מה גדלו מעשיך למדום קרוב. Oh, dir nu wunderseva, des Shenim verananim, Ki Yashar Adonai Tzuri Velo Aflatabo 120, 81, or 50. Mizmor Shir Chanukah Rabbi Ledavid Arim Chanaki Dilitan Lo Simachto Oivay Lian Ki Rega V'Yabo Chaim Birtzon Abba Erev Yalim Becher V'Laboker Rina. Hey lecha Adonai Yekra Be'el Adonai Etchana Hey lecha Adonai Yekra Be'el Adonai Etchanan Shema Adonai V'choneini Adonai Ozer li 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 והפכת מצבדי למחולי, בתקת זקי ותעזבני שמחה. למען יזמרך חווה ולא ידום, אדוני אלוהי לעולם עודך. Mourner's Kaddish 121, 82, or 52. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
ויעלמה דברה חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביומי חון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן.
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום ומרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. We rise Baruch Shamar 122. Baruch Shamar v'Olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu. יחיד חי עולמי מלך משובח ומפאר את שמו הגדול, ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל בתשבחות. May be seated. כי גדול עולם עולם היות ונורא הוא על כל אלוהים, כי כל אלוהים אלילים. ואדוני שמיים עשה הוד ורע לפניו עוז וחדווה במקומו. הבל עלי משפחות תמים, אבל עלי כבוד ועוז, הבל עלי כבוד שמו, וסתו מיכאל ולוחמיו. רממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו לאדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, והרבה להשיב אפו לגחמתו. אתה אדוני לא תכלה רחמך ממני. אדוני צפרים אנו מזכב לנו, אלוהי יעקב סלע, אדוני צפר אשר אדם בוטח בך, אדוני הושיע מלך יעננו ביום קוראנו, הושיע את עמך וברך נחותך. אשרם שכך, הלא אשרם של אדוני אלוהיו, אני בחסדך בטחתי יגל ליבי בישועתך, אשירה לאדוני כי גמל עלי, למנצח מזמור לדוד, השמיים מספרים כבוד אל, ומעשה ידיו מגיד הרקיע. תורת אדוני תמימה שיבת נפש, עדות אדוני נאמנה מחכימת פתי. יהי לרצונים רפי ויגון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי לדוד, בשנתו תמל לפני ומלך וגרשי ואילך. אברך אדוני בכל עת, תמיד תהילתו בפי, באדוני תהילתל נפשי, ישמעו הנביאים וישמחו. לכו בנים שימולי, יראת אדוני למדכם. מי האיש החפץ חיים, אוהב ימים לראותו. 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 נצור נצור לשונך מהרה ושפתך Midaber mirma sur meira baseto bakeshalo verod fehum Netzor leshoncha meira usefatecha Midaber mirma sur meira Vaseto bakeshalo verot fehu bakeshalo verot fehu. Temote rasha ra'aba sonei tzadik yeshem u'poder nai nefesh avadav v'lo yashmu kol hachosim bo tefila l'moshi Elohim Adonai ma'ona tahita lanu b'dor v'dor. Shata v'notelu nedecha l'milam v'necha ki yochayim yapane v'atacha. Vihino Adonai Eloheinu aleinu Ma'aseh yadeinu kon aleinu Ma'aseh yadeinu kon Enehu Yoshe b'seiter elyon B'tzel Shaddai yilonano Mar l'Adonai machsim esurati Elohai eftach bo. Yikra'eni v'yanehu imonochei b'tzarach al tzeh v'yachabadehu orech yamim asbiyehu v'yarei b'shuati orech yamim asbiyehu v'yarei b'shuati Hallelujah Hallelu et Shem Adonai Hallelu Avdei Adonai she'omdim b'beit Adonai. Oznaim lehem lo yazinu Beit Yisrael baruchu et Adonai, Beit Aharon baruchu et Adonai, Beit HaLevi baruchu et Adonai, Yirvei baruchu et Adonai, Baruch Adonai Metzion, Shochein Yerushalayim, Hallelujah. Please rise 132, 92, or 72. Hodu l'Adonai Kito Kilei olam chasto hodu le'Elohei ha'Elohim Kilei olam chasto hodu l'Adonai ha'adonim Kilei olam chasto hodu l'Adonai kito Kilei olam chasto. Shebishifleinu zachar lanu Kilei olam chasto Vayifrekeinu mitzareinu Kilei olam chasto Hoy noten lechem lecho basar Kilei olam chasto Hodu le'el hashamayim Kilei olam to. Hayananayne, haudarudarananaya, hanaynanay, hararayayo, yananayayo, hararayay, havay, havay, ho, 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 ay, 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 nanay, ay, 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 ay. May be seated. Ranut Sadikim Banalashunavata Ilam. Nafshenu chikta ladonai zrenu maginenu hu hivo yismach libenu ki v'shem kodsho b'tachnu yichasta chadnai alenu kasher yichanu lach mizmor shir liyom haShabbat tov lahodonai lezemer shemcha elyon lahagi b'boker chastecha v'emunatecha b'alelot alei asor v'elei navel alehiyun b'chinor. Odinuvun b'seivat shenim ranim yu laki kasharonai tsuriv lo avlat tabo Adonai malaki ulevesh leveshnai osi daza abtikon teva baltimot nachon kisacham yazme elamata. Heidotecha neemnu meyod leheveitcha na'al bakodesh Adonai leyorech yahamim Adonai leorech yamim. Yichvar Adonai lemesmach and lemasav Yishem narach mitavi yadol mimishachshem. Behu rachum yechaper avon velo yashkid verbalashi v'pov lekol chamato Adonai Oshim melach yaneinu v'yom koreinu ashreyo ashrei beitecha julucha selashun v'kachalov shom shonai luavd. Botecha chetecha maspil l'chol charatzon tzadikin v'chol roha v'chazil v'chol masar v'nachol kol. Tilat Adonai daber pi v'rakol basar shen kodsho le'olam v'anachnu barach yam yatav yer olam hallelujah 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 nafshi Adonai ahalala Adonai b'chayai azamera l'Elohai be'odi al tivtechu v'nadivim v'nadam shen lo tshua. Adonai shomeret gerim yatom himna yoded v'derech v'sha'im yaveh timloch Adonai le'olam Elohai Etzion Dor vador hallelujah, hallelujah, ki tov zamera Eloheinu, ki na'ina v'hatehila. Chilib chitim yaspiyech hasholech imato aratz ad mahira yarus tebaro, hanotin shalek asamer kefor kefri vazer mashdekro edim. Magid Rav Yaakov Hukab Mishpatav L'Israel Lo Asachin L'Chol Goyim Mishpatim Bal Yidaum Hallelujah 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 Adonai min hashamayim Hallelujah Bamerobim Hallelujah Chol malachav Hallelujah Kol tzeva'av Hallelujah Shemesh ve'yareach Hallelujah Kol kochvei or Hallelujah Shmei hashamayim ve'amayim Asher me'al hashamayim יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו ויעמידם ועד לעולם חוק נתן ולא יעבור יהללו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו ויעמידם לעד לעולם חוק נתן ולא יעבור Hallelujah, 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 Yaram Karen Lemo Telecho Chasidav L'Neshon Karo Hallelujah Hallelujah Shir Shir Chadash Tilato B'Kal Chasidim Leisor Machahem Bezikim Nechbedehem Bechav Levazeh Lasod B'Mishpat Katuv Hadaru L'Chol Chasidav Hallelujah Hallelujah Hallo B'Kodsho Hallo B'Kiozo Hallo B'Godro Karo Gulo Halu b'tziltzilei shama, halu b'tziltzilei truah, kol neshamat hallelujah, hallelujah, kol neshamat hallelujah, hallelujah, baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, b'yamein baruch Adonai b'tzon shekhan yishalayim ubaruch shen kvodo le'olam, b'yamelech kvodo kol haaretz, amen, b'yamein, vayivarech David et Adonai lekol kahal yom Davim. Please rise. V'ya'osher v'ya'kavod milchpanecha. Atahu Adonai Elohim asher bacharta b'yavam b'yotzei tomir kastim v'samta shmo Avraham u'matzata levavo neman lefanecha v'charoti mo abri letei teder zakanan yechit emri v'aprizi v'evushi v'yirgashi letem v'hayam bakata livneihem v'yavru b'toch hayam b'yabasha v'erot v'hem ishlachta v'imtzolot kemo eben b'mayim azim v'yoshanai b'yom ahu et shom yam Mitzrayim b'yarshim sometas v'dayam b'yarshim V'hayar Yisrael hayada gedol asher sarna b'Mitzrayim v'yir'u hamad Adonai v'yaminu b'Adonai u'Moshe abdo Hazeh asher Moshe v'nei Yisrael t'Yisrael z'l'nai Ibrahim v'lemor Hashem l'kika oga asus v'rocha v'orav ma v'yam Oziv v'znim raja v'hilishu azel yadehu Namogu kol yoshvei chanaan tipa alehem makta b'fachad adbon. Adonai yimloch leolam b'wed Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed kilarnaim lucha masha bagoyim v'alu moshim bi'artzin l'shpadet har esav v'aytalanayim lucha v'yadonai lemelach kol ha'aretz b'yom hahu Adonai echad u'shemo echad. We are seated for Nishmat, page 145, 104, 334. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Rav Santana Basava Kokatan Mechervim Letzatam. Ki Cho Pelacha Yudeva Cholashon Tishlachati Shavava Chobel. Mi Hidmelach Umi Yishvelach Umi Arochlach El Agadol Agibor V'Yanora El Elyon Konesh Shamayim Ba'aretz Nalal Chana Shabechacha Unefa'er Chana Brachachim Kochecha Kamor LeDavid Bar Chinav Shetaronai V'Chol Kravayat Shem Kodsho Ha'el B'Tatzumot Uzecha Hagadol B'Chvod Shemecha Hagibor L'Netzav Yanora B'Norotecha Hamelech HaYoshev Al Gisei Ram V'Nisa.
Still my microphone.
We're going to begin Shachrit in the second paragraph of page 147 in the Lev Shalem, 105 in the Slim Shalom, 336 in the Sim Shalom. More welcomes and Shabbat Shalom to those who are joining from a distance. Shabbat Shalom to Carol, and Shabbat Shalom to the Abels family, and Shabbat Shalom to Joanna from Toronto. Shabbat Shalom to Josepha Zimmer. Shabbat Shalom to Karen Cass, and to Larry Rosenstein, and to the Goodglicks, and to Rabbi Susan Lemley, and Shabbat Shalom to, I think we welcomed everyone by name whom I can see. And Judy, Shabbat Shalom, Judy, so nice to see you. So Shochein Ad 147, Rabbi Chorny.
Yesharim Titala Udivrei Tzadikim Titvarach Shochein Ha'dmaron V'kadosh Shemo Shochein Ha'dmaron V'kadosh Shemo Uvilshon Chasidim Titromam Uberkerem Kedoshim Titkadash Shochein Ha'dmaron V'kadosh Shemo Shochein Ha'dmaron וחג'רנו צדיקים באדוני לשנים נבעתי להם בפיש. ומקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל ורינש בנשמה שכן חובת כל יצורים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו להודות להלל לשבח לפאר לרומם להדר לברך להלל קודש על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות דוד בן ישי עבדך משיחך
Please rise.
ישבח שמך לעד מלכנו ברכות והודות מעתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני מלך גדול בתשבחות אל ההודות אדוני נפלאות הבוחר בשירי זמרה מלך חי העולמים יתכתב יתקדש שמי רבה ילמד דברי קראתי וימליך מלכותי בחייכנו ימכנו חיי לכל בית ישראל בקלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולמו ימיה יתברך וישבח ויתבהר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי דקודש בריחו לעילמים כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה תמירה בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Amen. We're about to say the Baruch Hu on 149 or 107 or 340. Right after the Baruch Hu, you may be seated through the Shema, and we'll rise again for the quiet Amiga later on.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Hakol Yiducha Hakol Yishamechucha Hinkerkech Adonai Eloheinu ba'olam hazeh v'inzulatcha malkeinu lechayi olam haba efes biltecha koleinu limot hamashiach v'intu melech hamashiachenu litchiat hametim El Adon al kol ha'ma'asim Baruch u'morach lefi kol neshama Godlo v'tuvo malei olam da'atu tvuna sobivim oto hamidgai al chayot hakodesh v'nei darei chavod halamir kavod zichut umishor Lifnei chiso, chesed v'rachamim, lifnei chevodo. Tovim meorot, shebara Eloheinu, yitzhar midat, b'binahu v'askel, koach u'ra, natan bahem. Lihat Mosheim bekerev tevel Mileim ziv u'mefikim noga Nahi zivam b'chol ha'olam Simechim b'tzeitam v'sasim b'vom Osim v'imah Retzon kolam V'chavod Notenim lishmo Sala v'rina L'zecher malchuto Kara l'shemesh V'yizrachor Rav v'hiskin Surat ha'levana Shevach Notenim lo Kol tzivah Maharon בחיות הקודש, לילה אשר שבת מכל המעשים, ביום השביעי תולה בריא. תברך משינו שבח מעשה ידיך, ביום יורי שעשית, יפרוך הסלע. כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים עם אווירה רצון קונם, וכולם פותחים בפיהם בקדושת תורה. בשירה וזמרה מברכים ומשבחים, ומפארים ומעריצים, ומקדישים וממליכים. את שם האל המלך הגדול והגיבור והנורא הקדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים עליהם מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות לעשה, להקדיש להיות זרע מנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ונעימה קדושה, כולם אחד עונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא הארץ כבודו. והאופנים חיות הקודש ברעש גדול מן השאים לעומת צרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מעלה אורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר עמי אורו.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם.
וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול זה באמת, להודות לך ליחידך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בנו ישראל באהבה. שמע אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, ויציב ונכון וקיים וישר ונאמן ואהוב וחביב ונחמד ונעים ונורא וידיר ומתוקן ומקובל וטוב ויפה הדבר הזה עלינו לעולם ועד אמת אלוהי עולם מלכנו צור יעקב מגן אישנו לדור ודור הוא קיים שמו קיים וחיסון נכון ומלכותו באמונתו לעד קיים אמת שעתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו גואלנו גואל אבותינו יוצרנו צור ישועתנו פוננו מצילים מעולם שמך אין אלוהים זולתך עזרת אבותינו אתה ומעולם אתה הוא ראשון ואתה הוא אחרון ומבלעדיך אמת אתה הוא ראשון ואתה הוא אחרון ומבלעדיך אין לנו מלך אין לנו גואל רם ונישא גדול ונורא, משפיל גאים ומגביה השפלים, מוציא אסירים ופודי ענבים, ועזר דלים ונעלם עולה שבת המלך. תהילה לעליון ברוך הוא ומבורך משה ובני ישראל, לחיינו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך ואלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש נורא תהילות אוסף שירה חדשה שיר כל גאולים לשמחה אספת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד יני ני 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 צור ישראל ומה בעזרת ישראל ותהילינו מחיותיו בישראל גואל עלינו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
If you're still in the midst of your quiet Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to begin with the repetition of the Amidah, for which we stand starting on 159, 115, or 354. We remain standing through the Kedusha on the following pages.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Nora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot, U'Mevigo Eliv Nevnehem Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Fokei Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ufokei Tzara, Atah Gibor Le'Lam Adonai Mechai Metim, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Meitim Ve'Rachamim Ravim, Samech Noflim Ve'Rovei Cholim, U'Matir Hasurim, Umkayim emunato lishaynei afar michamocha b'gevurot unido melech melech memit umchayei umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lechayot metim Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hametim
Amen. Nikadesh Shimcha B'olam Kashem.
Nikadesh Shimcha B'olam Kashem Shemakdishim Ota B'Shmei Marom Kakatuv Al Yad Nevi'echa V'karasel Sefer Hamar
Kadosh, 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 Adonai.
Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzvaot Melech Haaretz Kevoto Az Bekol Rash Gadol Adir Chazak Mashmim Kol Mitnaseim Leum HaTzerafim Leum HaTam Baruch Yameru Baruch Yevod Adonai Mimekomo Mimekomecha Malkeinu Tofia V'Timlo Chaleinu Kimechakim Anachnu Lach V'Taitim Loch V'Tzion Mikarabi Aminu Le'olam B'Het Tishkon Tikadaf and Tikadash V'Toch Yerushalayim Yerecha L'Dor V'Ador L'Netzach Netzach Limeneinu Tirein Namachutecha Kadavar Hamor B'Shirei Ozecha Hayedei Batvid Mashiach Tzidkecha
Yimloch Adonai Le'olam Lo Ha'esion L'Dor V'Ador
Yimloch Adonai Le'olam Lo Ha'esion L'Dor V'Ador Hallelujah Yanai Nanai Nai 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 Yanai Nanai Nai Yanai Yanai Nai Nanai Nai 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 Yanai Nanai Nai 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 Yanai Yanai Nai 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 Yanai Yanai Nai Oh Yanai Yanai Nai 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 L'dor v'dor nagid godlecha U'netzach netzachim kedushatecha nakdish V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam va'ed Ki HaMelech Gadol V'kadosh Ata Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Amen. You may be seated.
ישמח משה במתנת חלקו, כי יבד נאמן קראת לו, כליל תפאר בראש נתת, בעומדו לפניך על הר סיני, ושני לוחות אבנים הורי בידו, וכתוב בהם שמירת שבת, וכן כתוב בתורתך, ושם בבני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתורתם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את שמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, ולא נתתו אדוני אלוהינו לכל ארצות ולא ינחלתו מלכנו לדפס אלים וגם מנוחתו לא ישכנו ערלים, כי לישראל מחד נתתו באהבה לזרע יעקב אשר בם בחרת, המקדש השביעי כולם יספו ויתענגו מטבעך, והשביעי רצית בו וקידשו חמדת ימים ותקראת, זכר למעשה בראשית אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו רצה ומנוחתנו קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך, שמחנו בטובך ושמחנו בישועתך, וטהר ליבנו ליותך באמת, והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך, וינוחו בך ישראל מקדשי שמך. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת, רצה אדוני אלוהינו במך ישראל ובתפילתם, והשבת עבודת נדביר ביתך, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל ברצון, ותהי לרצון. תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך, ותחזיין עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים. ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון, מודים אנחנו לך שם. הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך, והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך, מעולם קיווינו לך ועל כולם יפרח ויתרומם שמך מלכנו, תמיד לעולם ועד וכל אחים ידעו חסלה, וללא שמך באמת היה ישועתנו בעזרתנו סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך הוא חנאי להודות, אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, ברכנו בברכה משולשת בתורה הכתובה על ידי משה עבדך, המורה מפי אהרון ובניו כהנים עם קדושך כאמור. יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישאים לך שלום. שים שלום טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. ברכנו אבינו כולנו כאחד, ואור פניך כי ואור פניך נתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, תורת חיים ואהבת חסד וצדקה וברכה ורחמים וחיים ושלום, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה ושלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. יתקדש ויקדש שמי רבה, והמת יברך ירתה וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובמכון וחייתך בית ישראל, בגלל בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה וברך לעולם עולם להלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירה בימה ויאמרו אמן. תתקבל צלות ההון ותהון דכל ישראל קדם ובהון וישמעיה ויאמרו אמן. ישלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו Amen.
Please rise or remain standing as we move to the Torah service, which can be found on page 168, 139, or 394. Ein Kamocha.
You can look on the sheet, yeah. Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ein kemasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai himloch le'olam. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Avarachamim heitiv avirtzoncha et Zion. Tibenei chomot Yerushalayim, Tibenei chomot Yerushalayim. Ki vecha levad batachnu, melech eram v'nisa Adon olamim. Vayehi vinso Aharon, vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, ve'yafutzu oivecha, ve'yanusu mesanecha mipanecha, ki mitzion teitze Torah, ki mitzion teitze Torah, udevar Adonai mi Yerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Rishmei de'Adam lechdech ufakanim lechdech chasei lechavei. Ana avadi shabrach v'tazayat k'meyach. Ana rachetz v'lishmei kadisha, kadisha yakira. Ana emar tushbechan be'ana rachetz, be'ana rachetz v'lishmei kadisha, kadisha yakira. Ana emar tushbechan yehera avaka damach, tetiftach libi be'oraita, v'tashli mishalin delibi, v'liba dechol amach Yisrael, letav u'lechayin v'lishlam. Amen.
I'll probably take his spot. Yeah, take his spot.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. ציון רוממה שמו יחדיו לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד כי חוב השמיים ובארץ כי חוב השמיים ובארץ לך אדוני המלאכה ימין הזה Adonai Eloheinu Ve'hishachavu le'adam raglav kadoshu Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'hishachavu le'akadoshu Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
Okay, so where should we go? His seat. Okay.
There we go. Oh, okay. Didn't realize. I'll put it back down.
No, it's okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's nice to be outside with you. A combined service. I don't even know what to call combined services anymore. Services. Good name for it, Rabbi Schatz. We wanted to share some Torah with you this morning in the form of small bits and pieces from each of us, of the three rabbis who are rabbiing at this service, all from the same section of Parshat V'halotecha, which we each studied individually but studied on the same section of the Torah. And I suggested to my, I love this word, froligs, friend colleagues. Isn't that a great word?
That's great.
Yeah, it's adorable. To my chevra, that's the English word for chevra, I think. This section of a parsha, which I love so much, it's narrative. I guess that's why I like it, because not all of Bamidbar is narrative. If you want to follow along in this section that I'm pointing to, it's on page 825 in the Eitz Chaim. It's chapter 10. We'll be looking at verses 31 and 32. I'm going to share a small bit of this now, and then you'll hear a little later from Rabbi Kligfeld, and at the end of services from Rabbi Schatz. This is the part of the story where Yitro, who goes by many, many names all throughout the Torah, the father-in-law, Chotno Moshe, the father-in-law of Moshe, he says, I'm leaving. I'm going home now. My time has come. And Moshe says, oh my gosh, please don't leave me. Something like that. And I want to share with you a very small bit of Torah on that moment. And my froligs are going to share other Torah on that moment. Here's the piece of Torah that stands out to me. It comes from the Or HaChaim, but he actually brings Torah from yet another rabbi. So he points out one piece of this verse that has to do with Moshe's response. So you have to know first what Yitro said. So Yitro said, in response to Moshe saying, we're going, come with us, Yitro said, I'm going back to my land, El Artzi ve'el moladati elech. And he said, Al na ta'azov otanu. That's what Moshe said. Al na ta'azov otanu. Don't leave us. Na is Moshe's word for please, right? Kind of like the word that he uses for please heal Miriam, my sister, right? El Neverfanala. This is his word for please. So the Or HaChaim picks up on this and he says, this is Moshe's way of saying, don't even leave us temporarily, Yitro.
Don't even leave us for a little bit, Yitro. I need you. And the Orach Chaim says that according to Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai, this was the conversation that happened between Yitro and Moshe. Yitro said this: a light is only useful in dark places. A light is only useful in dark places. I'm going back to my land. I've done things here, but I'm a monotheist now. I've become one of you. I'm going back to my people. Remember, this is our tradition, imagining Yitro here. Our tradition wants to imagine that Yitro wants to go back to his people and be a light unto his nation. So Yitro says, a light is not useful unless it's in a dark place. And Moshe says back to him, that's not true. He basically says to him, you can see the moon in daytime. Right? He says, you have helped me. Look at what you have done for me. You have done tremendous things for me in this place. Both of them have merit in their arguments. It's true. It is true, and I want us to use this Torah to reimagine what this word luminary means. What does it mean to be a luminary? I've used that word a lot this year as I thought about the people, these interviews that I did this past year on my podcast. I used the word luminary, and as I read this particular commentary, I reimagined that word. What does it mean to be a luminary? It's both useful and useless to be among already enlightened people. Okay? Don't think that there's nothing more that you can do when you're already in a good place. There is always more work to do. Don't get too comfortable either, because it might be time also, as Yitro knew and did, to go back to your place and to go back to your people and to do more work, because it's true that a light certainly shines brighter in a dark place. Shabbat Shalom, and let's get started with our Torah reading. We begin. I'm going to continue on a different microphone. I actually don't have the. I don't have any kind of like an honor sheet situation.
Yeah, Mark has yours.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't know if anyone who's here today was davening in Beitenu the first weekend in February of 2009. Anyone remember? It wasn't even Beitenu, it was Beit Tfilah. So that was the weekend I was coming out to Los Angeles to try out for this job, and I walked into Beitenu and they said, today's Torah reader didn't show up. Rabbi Kligfeld, would you like to do it? Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. So today's Torah reading did not show up, and so this may not be up to my my normal high standard that I hold myself to in terms of reading from the Torah. So I apologize in advance.
More fun for the guys. So we begin our Torah reading today on page 821, a few pages before the place in which we were just reading. That's in the book of Numbers, Bamidbar, chapter 9, verse 15.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah. If you want to throw me a dargah and a tavir. Dargah, tavir.
V'yazor v'yagiv yashir lechochosim moven omar ameina kol havu godel Eloheinu utnu chavod laTorah yamod. Meir ben Eliezer live v'chana habachor habar mitzvah baruch shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael v'kedushato v'atem hadveki v'adonai Elohechem chayim kolchem hayom. Do you want the brachot? There you go. Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Va'ed.
Actually, the best thing is you stand here and just keep your finger right in front of it. Like a word or two in front of it.
Amen.
But lower. וביום הקים את המשכן, כי שנן את המשכן, לא אל הידור ובערב יהיה על המשכן כמראה אש עד בוקר, כן יהיה תמיד הנן יכסנו, ומראה אש לילה ולפי העלות הענן מעל האוהל, ואחרי כן ייסעו בני ישראל, ובמקום אשר ישכון שם הענן, שם יחנו בני ישראל, על פי אדוני, ייסעו בני ישראל ועל פי אדוני יחנו כל ימי אשר ישכון הענן על המשכן יחנו.
Amen. And yashar koach to you, Marshall, on this anniversary of your bar mitzvah.
Oh, you can be reading Torah.
Ye-
8:22 verse 19.
Ya'amod
What's your Hebrew name?
Dov ben Uziel ve Varna Tamod Sigal Vavracha ve Yusam Al Haliyashniha. We're on page 822, chapter 9, verse 19. Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Vayed.
Amen. I lost it already. ובהריך הענן על משכן ימים רבים ושמרו בני ישראל את משמרת אדוני ולא ייסעו והיה אשר יהיה הענן ימים מספר על המשכן על פי אדוני יחנו ועל פי אדוני ייסעו ויש אשר יהיה הענן מערב עד בוקר ונעלה הענן בבוקר ונסעו או יומם ולילה ונעלה הענן ונסעו או יומיים או חודש או ימים בהריך הענן על משכן לשכון עליו יחנו בני ישראל ולא ייסעו ולאותו ייסעו על פי אדוני יחנו ועל פי אדוני ייסעו את משמרת אדוני שמרו על פי אדוני ביד משה.
Amen. Tamod. Rivka Leah bat. Avraham Zarach. Chayat Yamhod. David ben Hillel. V'feiga Aliyah Hashlishit.
Page 822, beginning of chapter 10.
Baruch
Adonai Baruch Le'olam
Amen. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור עשה לך שתי חצוצות כסף מקשה תעשה אותם והיו לך למקרא העדה ולמסעת המחנות ותקעו בהם ונועדו אליך כל העדה אל פתח אוהל מועד ואם באחת יתקעו ונועדו אליך הנשיאים ראשי אלפי ישראל ותקעתם תשועה ונשאו המחנות האחרונים קדמה ותקעתם תרועה שני ונשאו המחנות האחרונים תימה תרועה האחרונים תימנה תרועה יתקעו למעשיהם ובהקיל את הקהל תתקעו ולא תריעו.
Yes.
Amen.
Hamod Martin Rabbeinu Harav Sivya Chana Bat Yerachmiel Yosef Vesara Laliyah Revit
Page 823, verse 8.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Vahed
Amen. Uvenei Aharon HaKohanim yitke'u b'chatzot v'hayu lachem lechukat olam ledorotechem v'chita bo milchama b'artzachem al hatzorer etchem v'hareotem b'chatzot v'nizkartem lifnei Adonai Elohechem v'noshantem me'oivechem u'b'yom simchatchem u'b'modechem u'b'rashei choshechem u'tukatem Bechatzrot, utkatem bechatzotrot, al alotechem, v'al zivchei shalmechem, v'ayu lechem lezikaron lifnei Elohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem. Yeah, you can start with the okay. I'm going to speak first anyway.
Am I speaking in the sermon slot?
You're speaking this.
No, I'm speaking. It's her bat mitzvah. Yeah.
Okay.
Tamod Tamod Tamod
Before
Habachurah Habat Mitzvah
I don't know.
Oh,
You're speaking before.
got it.
Devorah Bat Avram Zorach V'chaya Laliyah HaChamishit. We're going to pause before the fifth Aliyah to say Misha Berach. For those who are ill in our community, we keep a list of names of those who are in need of healing. If you have names to add to that list, whether you are with us currently here on the field or with us virtually, you are also, by the way, here with us on the field. You can add those names when I pause. I'll ask you to add them all at once. We'll pause meaningfully so that you can add them, and those who need to hear it will hear it in the universe. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Imotenu Sarai Charachav Leah Hu Yivarech v'Yirapeh et Kol HaCholim et Zahav Yafa Bat Esther et Rivka Bat Pesha Catherine Bat Sar et Stanley Greitzer et Harav Yaakov Baruch Ben Uri v'Chava et Yosef Menachem Mendel Ben Gittel et Yehuda Ben Avraham v'Sara et Fredo Berachel et Metuka Sara Bat Shenel Golda et Baile Esther Gittel Bat Vega et Ben Sion Ben Gittel et Eliyahu Ben Shena Shirha et Yelena Kramer et Aharon Avraham Ben Adina et Rivka Bat Nechama et Hila Ben Yaakov et Ziochana Bat Tzivya et Yisachana bat Chasegula, et Avraham Simcha ben Avraham v'Sara, et Sarasel bat Miriam, et Menachem ben Lili, et Natan David ben Baruch ben Mina, et Rutfreda bat Miriam, et Yehuda Yisrael ben Leah, et Shulamit bat Miriam, et Mordechai ben Esther, et Chaim ben Sarah Leah, et Mariam bat Angelica, et Yosef Lilach bat Miriam, et Michael Kwenko, et Benina Drebin, et David Volman, et Rivka Chana bat Zipporah, et Lucy Leah bat Dora, et Luz bat Sarha, et Paula Zambra, et Pinchas ben Elisa, et Yehudit bat Rivka, et Dani ben Yamin ben Tovanurit, et Gershon ben Chaim v'Dverta, et Yaakov ben Rachel, et Penina bat David, et Yaakov ben Avraham, et Michael ben Leah, et Sarah bat David v'Dina, et Cholim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem Le'achazikam U'rapotam V'yishlach lehem Erah Refuah Shlema Min HaShamayim Refuat HaNefesh U'Refuat HaGuf V'toch Sha'ar HaCholim V'chazek et Yedei Ha'osakim B'tzorchechem Shabbati Milizok Urfuah Krova Lavo HaShabagala U'Bizman Kariv V'nomar Amen. We wish a speedy and complete healing to all. And we continue now with our fifth Aliyah.
But before we do that, Debbie, you can be seated for a moment.
Oh, good.
In the 3-installment drash that Rabbi Chorny initiated before, we'll go to number 2 now, and then Rabbi Schatz will bring up at the end. A couple of years ago, Dr. Rothblum, our head of school, had a really interesting idea that she heard from other folks that she was speaking to and wanted to put in place at Pressman, was just to invite onto the education cabinet, the board of Pressman Academy, someone who is not a parent, not a past parent, not an alumni, just a local member of the community of the wider community, not necessarily someone who is Jewish, who might have something interesting to say about how a school was governed. Right? Normally, all the members of the Board of Trustees at Temple Beth Am, maybe appropriately so, are members of the community. And before this, every member of the education cabinet was directly connected, was a constituent or a past constituent or a future constituent of the school itself. What would it mean to bring someone onto the board who had no previous connection to the school, but who might be able to offer insight because of experience that he or she may have had in other similar institutions? They identified someone to add to the cabinet. I think the person was on the cabinet for 2 or 4 years, I don't remember. And it was really a credible experience. I don't remember exactly why that was not continued, and actually maybe it's still being thought of. But I remember hearing from Dr. Rothman, from others, that there were 2 things that were happening simultaneously by having this outsider, as it were, coming inside to share with us about how we should operate this part of the institution. One was that the name and the renown of Pressman Academy grew, because all of a sudden you had someone else who up until that point had no real intimate knowledge of the institution, who therefore had no reason to speak positively of it, who is now invested in the future of the institution, and became a bit of a mouthpiece, a spokesperson, not in any kind of formal capacity, but when this person would have an opportunity to speak about local schools and local Jewish schools out there in the community, Pressman was on his lips. So we received from this person a certain amount of PR. And in addition, because the person had no stake in the matter, didn't have a child in the school or a former child in the school, was able to look at issues that the school was dealing with as utterly objectively as possible. To have an outside view of something intimate brings a second layer of insight, because the person is not all caught up in what we are all caught up with when we are caught up in something that's close to us. And so what this person contributed around the table could not have been contributed by anyone who was paying tuition at that school, or who was a parent or a past parent at that school, and contributed invaluable things. Those 2 points are similar to the first 2 things that Rashi says on the very set of lines that Rabbi Chorny was speaking about. This moment that Moshe begs Yitro, please don't go. Please don't send us off in the desert without you. We need you as one of us. The words are very interesting, and I forgot to, what's the verse, chapter verse, remember, Rabbi Chorny?
10:31.
10:31. So chapter 10, verse 31, right. Vayomer al na tazov otanu, Rabbi Chorny focused on that. Moshe said, please, please, please don't leave us. Ki al kein yadata, for verily you know. Chanotenu bamidbar, you know our way through this desert better than we do, because this is your home. V'hayita lanu le'einayim. Pretty simple Hebrew words that Rashi says could mean multiple things. V'hayita, and you will be. Lanu, for us. Le'einayim, eyes. The word v'hayita can be understood in both future tense and past tense. I won't get into the intricate biblical grammatical details as to why, but it can mean, and you will be, and you were. Rashi says the first way of understanding this verse is that, why is Yitro significant to be a part of the Israelite community? Because he was an outsider who was witness with his own eyes to this miraculous emergence of a slave people into the desert to receive a text and to begin a relationship with God, and to have someone who was not part of it say, yes, this is real, yes, this is significant, yes, I believe in it, adds a certain amount of gravitas to the very enterprise. So you've been eyes that in some ways are more significant than what we saw in Sinai, because you saw that we saw it at Sinai, and you believe us. We're a real people, and we deserve to exist. That's Rashi's explanation number 1. Rashi's explanation number 2 reads the verb in the exact opposite tense. Not v'hayita, and you were, but using this form called the vav hayipuch, and you will be. Meaning, we can't possibly govern ourselves through this desert without an outside influence. There's already bickering. I'm related to half of the people I'm leading out of Egypt. We're too incestuously involved. And even though you're my father-in-law, you have an outside perspective as maybe you might be a monotheist, but you're not an Israelite. And your ancestors are not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And you weren't enslaved. And you know the land that we are traversing through differently than we possibly can. And therefore, you're going to be for us a set of eyes and ears and instincts that we could not possibly provide on our own. These first two commentaries of Rashi remind me how significant it is to resist the urge to keep those on the outside from joining, and I'm using that as a very general category, because sometimes when you invite the outsiders to join, you benefit. You benefit because you have a sense of renown that could not possibly have been produced only by your own, and you're able to have someone else see things clearly on your behalf. If you stay siloed, if you stay in your own echo chamber, if you make your boundaries too unrelenting, it's going to be a stifling reality, and you're going to be lost. According as the words of my dear friend Rabbi David Ingeber, before there was Har Sinai, before there was the mountain of Sinai, there was Har Yitro. There was the mountain of Yitro. Before the Israelites were able to actually appear at Sinai, there had to have this relationship, this encounter with an outside voice, an outside influence, priming the pump for the true revelation. Switching modes for a second before I bring them back. This past week at Temple Beth Am in the morning, we had a hard incident which might happen more and more frequently as our city becomes more of a challenging place to live in, both when it comes to race relations and political forces that are shaping our reality, and also when it comes to the many, 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 many unhoused people in our city who live amongst us, who we sometimes step over on the way to our homes or on the way to the 7-Eleven or on the way to shul. They're human beings who do not have housing, and some of them do not have full mental and psychological wellness. Before Daily Minyan was going to start one of the days this week, a local man whom I had not seen before, who was clearly unhoused, and I would add, clearly emotionally and psychologically unstable and unwell, showed up at the front security gate and asked to come in for services. Unkempt, possibly had spent the night in our cutout area by the garbage bins in front of Temple Beth Am, and made the claim that he wanted to come in and pray. Knew it was a shul, used the right language. This is a sanctuary. Why can't anyone just come in? And our security guards were faced with a really hard decision. 20 minutes later, 500 kids were going to be walking through those doors. And almost by definition, security guards are there not to protect those beyond the borders, but to protect those within the borders. And people obediently and rightfully do their jobs. And yet, we're a sanctuary. And this was a Jew, and a Jew who knew it was time to pray, and wanted to come in ostensibly to be in or near, in a sanctuary near Jews, and offer words up to the Holy One. The security guard denied him entrance because the security guard could not know for sure whether this person was well enough, stable enough to be predictable once inside the building. But it was a painful episode for that security guard with whom I've processed this. It was a painful episode for me to hear about it afterwards, and a painful episode for some of the people who were adjacent to it. And I've heard from some members of the community, including people who were there that day, saying, wasn't there a better way to handle that? Could we not have stretched a little bit to provide yet more space for the other and to see them in our midst? I said that Rashi said two things on this set of words. He says three things on this set of words. The last way that Rashi interprets the words, v'hayita lanu le'einayim, Rashi kind of switches the l of le'einayim almost to a b in terms of its meaning, And you will be for us be'inayim. We're going to see you. You're going to be in our eyes. Right now, we're no longer the oppressed ones. We're free. And we're on the way to a great destiny land of Israel. We have God behind us. You, Yitro, are the one who might be more outside and vulnerable. And we want to protect you. We want you to stay with us, not only so that we can be guided by your eyes, but that you can be seen in our eyes. And we can uphold you as you continue to build your life and your tribe. These are very, very hard issues. I'm not standing up here in a mini Dvar Torah to offer a pat explanation or a pat solution for how armed security guards protecting a campus that is sometimes filled with 700 people within a city that can sometimes be dangerous with people who are doing unpredictable and violent things. And yet, I think we have to modulate our relationship with the others amongst us, both from the perspective of how they can benefit us and how we can stretch uncomfortably to benefit them, because it's in the union of those goals that Torah is lived out most beautifully. We continue with the fifth aliyah.
On page 823, verse 11, last line.
Baruch Hananeh Borach Leolam Vayed.
Can I move this away? Yeah. Take up on some of that one over here. You can take off the mask over here.
Amen.
Amen. Vayehi vashana shenit b'chodesh hasheni v'esrim b'chodesh na'ala anan me'al mishkan edut vayisu en Yisrael lemasehem mivar Sinai vayishkon anan b'midbar paran vayisu varishona al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe vayisa degel machane b'nei Yehuda v'rishona letzivotam ועל צבאו נחשון בן עמינדב, ועל צבא מטה בני יששכר נתנאל בן צוהר, ועל צבא מטה בני זבולון אליה בן חילון, והורד המשכן ונעשו בני גרשון ובני מררי נעשה המשכן, ונעשה דגל מחנה ראובן לצבאותם, ועל צבאו ליצור בן שדיור, ועל צבא מטה בני שמעון שלויאל בן צורי שדי, ועל צבא מטה בני גד, אליסף בן דהואל.
The sixth and then
Amen. Tamodna. Rachel bat Nachum Hershelve Tova Fega Tova Fega bat Moshe Chai Vechaya Lalia Hashishit.
824, verse 21.
So before we do the sixth aliyah, I want to offer Devi, Misha Berach, but also a personal blessing on this occasion of your birthday, but really the anniversary of your bat mitzvah also. You and Marshall could have done the whole service for us today. You could have too. So I grew up watching your family, mostly your niece and nephew, but grew up also watching the two of you as sisters. And one of the most beautiful things that Cantor Troni actually mentioned earlier is this line, El na refa na la, which Moshe says about his sister. And it's this very short verse that he's saying, but we wonder why he doesn't say more. Why doesn't he say, please heal her for all these reasons. I love her so much. I need her to get well. And one of the most profound teachings that I've heard on this very short Misha Berach is that he didn't need to say any more, because their relationship was such a strong bond that all he needed to say was, you just need to make her better. Because all the feelings are there and all the support is there and all the love is there. And it's not only clear to them, but it's clear to everybody around them. And growing up watching your family, seeing you as just a kind soul. There are very few people who are just pure in kindness and pure in giving, and that is you, and you shaking your head is just proving my point. But your family is so tight-knit and so caring of one another through the good and through the bad. And watching you be able to share this relationship continuously makes all of us want to be better sisters, better siblings, better aunts, and all the rest of it. And I just want to bless you that on this birthday, you continue to go from strength to strength in all of those things that you've already shared with us and already showed us. And that you have this chevra who showed up to celebrate you because they agree with me. They know that you show that love both to your own family, but also to all of us and make us want to do all of that so much better. So I'll also give you a blessing that our rabbis wrote. And what's her Hebrew name? Devorah Batya. Okay, you're going to have to remind me of that. Okay. I'll just pause and you'll say the Hebrew name. Okay. Misheverach Avatenu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Imatenu Sarah Rivka Rechav Leah Hu Yivarech et Devorah Batya Bat Avram Zorech Vechaya She'alta Hayam Lichvod HaMakom V'Lichvod HaTorah V'Lichvod HaShabbat Ulehodo L'Shem Kodsho Al Kol Chesed Asher Gamala Miyom Hivlada ad hayom hazeh. Hakadosh Baruch Hu yishmor ota mikol nego machala v'yosif lashnot hachaim mleim briut ve'ahava ve'shalom ve'shava ve'yishlach bracha ve'hatzacha bechol maseh yadeha im kol Yisrael acheha ve'achyoteha v'nomar amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Debbie, who has ascended today to honor God, the Torah, and Shabbat, and to thank God for all the blessings God has bestowed on you from the day of your birth until today. May God protect you from all illness and bless you with a long life filled with good health and love and relationship. And may God send blessing and success in all of your endeavors. And let us say, Amen. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom
Amen.
ונעשו הקטים נושא המקדש והקימו את המשכן עד בואם ונעשה דגל מחנה בני אפרים לצבאותם ועל צבאו אלישמע בן עמיהוד ועל צבא מטה בני מנשה גמליאל בן פדצור ועל צבא מטה בני בנימין אבידן בן גדעוני ונעשה דגל מחנה בני דן מאסף לכל המחנות לצבאותם ועל צבאו אחיעזר בן עמישדי ועל צבא מטה בני אשר פגיאל בן אחרן ועל צבא מטה בני נפתלי אחירה בן עינן אלה מעשה בני ישראל לצבאותם וייסעו
Amen. No. Wait, where's Darian? Wait, where's?
Right there.
They're right in front of you.
There you are.
And they're also on the screen.
Oh, why is that?
Got it.
It's so confusing.
Yamod Chaim Yosef ben Shmuel. Friedel Tamod. Devar Chaim V'Tarav Chaim V'Tema L'Aliyah HaShavit.
825 verse 29.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe lechovav ben Reuel Midiani choten Moshe nosim anachnu el hamakom asher amar Adonai oto eten lachem lecha itanu et avnu lach ki Adonai diber tov al Yisrael. ויאמר אליו לא אלה כי אם אל ארצי ואל מולדתי אלך ויאמר אל נא תעזוב אותנו כי על כן ידעת חנותנו במדבר והיית לנו לעיניים והיה כי תלך עמנו והיה טוב ההוא אשר ייטיב אדוני עמנו והיטבנו לך וייסעו מהר אדוני דרך 3 ימים וארון ברית אדוני נשא לבניהם דרך 3 ימים לתור להם מנוחה וענן אדוני להם יומם ונשא מן המחנה.
Amen.
Tamod Noah Yarden Batarav Adam V'Chava Lemaftir.
Please rise, Schatz.
Please rise for
Chatzi
Chatzi
Kaddish.
Kaddish. Before the, I wasn't sure if the Misha Berach was gonna.
Let's do Chatzi Kaddish first.
Chatzi Kaddish first. Okay. From the here from this mic.
Ikadal v'ikadash shemeh rabba. Yalamadi v'rakuteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chayedechol ben Yisrael ba'agala ba'agala ubizman kari v'imru amen Yehei shemeh rabba mevarach Alam lalam elamaya Yitbarach Vishtabach Vitbar Vitram Vinase Vitadar Vitale Vitalal Shemeh Tekud Shabirichu Leila Min Kol Birchata Vishirata Tushbechata Venechamata Damiran Belema Vimru Amen.
Before the Maftir Aliyah, you may be seated. I want to give a special bracha to Jerry and Deb, who are celebrating their anniversary. Is it today? This coming Thursday? Past Thursday. And I'll say this briefly, but I can't expand in any more words what I want to say to you than this short sentence. When I look at your children, I say to myself, look what your love has wrought and brought into this world. We thank the Holy One that you found each other and that you found love and you produced these extraordinary children who are on the way to producing yet another generation of committed and identified Jews. And we're so delighted to be a part of this celebration with you. Misha berach avotenu Avram Yitzchak v'Yakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah v'varech et Chaim Yosef ben Shmuel Ufredel v'et Devor Nachama Batarav Chaim V'Tema Bavor Shabawa Yom Ladot L'Shem Kodsho Al Kol HaChesed Asher Gamal Lehem Yom Chatunatam Umiyom Simchat Libam Ad Hayom Hazeh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yishmerem V'Yatzilim Mikol Tzara V'Tzuka Umikol Nega U'Machala Vishlach bracha v'asacha b'chol ma'aseh yedehem im kol Yisrael achehem v'nomar amen. May God, who blessed our ancestor Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless the two of you who are here today with gratitude for all the blessings that they're, how many years together? 31 years together have afforded them. May the Kadosh Baruch Hu protect and deliver them. May you continue to enjoy God's blessings in the new song of the years to come, embraced by the love of their children and one day by their grandchildren, so that may you always live in joy and gladness, in peace and in companionship, and coming to shul. And let us say, Amen. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, yehi lanu, yehi lanu, yehi lanu, l'chol Yisrael, yehi lanu, l'chol Yisrael, yehi lanu, l'chol Yisrael, yehi lanu, Oh, Lecho Yisrael. Happy anniversary. We also want to Yasher Koach before he reads Maftir again to Mark, who had less time to prepare for his aliyot than I had to prepare for mine. So once again, Mark, your mastery of the Torah is an inspiration. Maftir aliyah can be found where, Joey?
Verse 29, page 825, right?
I'm asking you.
Correct. Page 825, verse 29.
Okay, 825, 89, 94, 65.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Amen.
Amen. Vaya kitelech imanu vaya tovahu asher etiv Adonai imanu ve'tavnu lach. Vayisu me'ar Adonai der shloshet yamim ve'aram brit Adonai noseh al livneihem der shloshet yamim latur lahem menucha ve'anan Adonai alehem yomam v'nasa min ha'machaneh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natav b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah.
Amen.
Yeah, both of you. I don't have a microphone. If you want to call them up.
Yam dua magbiya b'hagolel. Please rise as the Torah is lifted.
But he shouldn't do it anymore because his hair is gone, so he's lost all his strength.
I guess, yeah. Okay. Just watch the roof. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomchei ameh meyushar. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomchei ameh meyushar. Deracheh hadachei noam v'chol nativoteh shalom.
No, I got it. Your Halakha is on page 837.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנביאים טובים, ורצה בדבריהם הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה, אדוני, הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו, ובישראל עמו, ובנביאי האמת v'tzedek.
Amen. If you're following from home in a different Chumash, you're looking for the second chapter of Zechariah, the second chapter of the book of Zechariah, verse 14, if you're following along at home from a Tanakh.
Rani v'simchi b'tzion, ki hineni v'shachanti v'tochich neum Adonai. ונלוו גויים רבים אל אדוני ביום ההוא, והיו לי לים, ושכנתי בתוכך, וידעת כי אדוני צבאות שלחני אלייך. ונחל אדוני את יהודה חלקו על אדמת הקודש, ובחר עוד בירושלים. הס כל בשר מפני אדוני, כי נאור ממעון קודשו. ויראני את יהושע הכהן הגדול עומד לפני מלאך אדוני, והשטן עומד על ימינו לשטנו. ויאמר אדוני אל השטן, יגער אדוני בך השטן, ויגער אדוני בך הבוחר בירושלים. הלא זה אוד מוצל מאש. ויהושע היה לבוש בגדים צועים, ועומד לפני המלאך. ויען ויאמר אל העומדים לפניו לאמור, הסירו הבגדים הצועים מעליו. ויאמר אליו, ראה העברתי מעליך עוונך, והלבש אותך מחלצות. ואומר, ישימו צניף טהור על ראשו, וישימו הצניף הטהור על ראשו, וילבישוהו בגדים, ומלאך אדוני עומד. ויעד מלאך אדוני בהושע לאמור, כה אמר אדוני צבאות, אם בדרכי תלך, ואם את משמרתי תשמור, וגם אתה תדין את ביתי, וגם תשמור את חצרי. ונתתי לך מלכים בין העומדים האלה, שמנה יהושע הכהן הגדול, אתה ורעך היושבים לפניך, כי אנשי מופת המה, כי הנני מביא את עבדי צמח. כי הנה האבן אשר נתתי לפני יהושע, על אבן אחת 7 עיניים, הנני מפתח פיתוחה. נאום אדוני צבאות, ומשתי את עוון הארץ ההיא ביום אחד. ביום ההוא נאום אדוני צבאות, תקראו איש לרעהו, אל תחת גפן ואל תחת תאנה. וישב המלאך הדובר בי, ויראני כאיש אשר יאור משנתו. ויאמר אלי, מה אתה רואה? ואומר ראיתי והנה מנורת זהב כולה וגולה על ראשה ושבעה נרותיה עליה שבעה ושבעה מוצקות לנרות אשר על ראשה ושניים זיתים עליה אחד מימין הגולה ואחד על שמאלה ואען ואומר אל המלאך הדובר בי לאמור מה אלה אדוני ויען המלאך הדובר בי ויאמר אלי הלא ידעת מה המה אלה ואומר לו אדוני ויען ויאמר אלי לאמור זה דבר אדוני אל זרובבל לאמור לא וחיל ולא וכוח כי ברוכי אמר אדוני צבאות מי אתה הר הגדול לפני זרובבל למישור והוציא את האבן הרשע תשועות חן חן לה ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם צור כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות האל הנאמן האומר ועושה המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמנים דבריך ודבר אחד מדבריך אחר לא ישוב ריקם כי המלך נאמן ורחמן אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הנאמן בכל דבריו רחם על ציון כי היא בית חיינו ולעלו בנפש תושיע במהרה בימינו ברוך אתה אדוני משמח ציון בבניה שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו באליהו הנביא עבדך ובמלכות בית אבי משיחך במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו על כיסאו לא ישב זר ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו שלא יכבה נרו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני מגן דוד על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ביום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת
Amen. Shakoah. Just a few more welcomes of people who have joined the Zoom since I last looked. Welcome to Jeff Altman. Welcome to David Rose, whose living room is not as windy as it was last night. Welcome to the Nimoys and to Sandy Fields, and Shabbat Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom to the Litovs. And Shabbat Shalom to... I think that's everyone that I can see. Yeah, I welcomed her before. Shabbat Shalom again, Carol. But just so you know, we see you, and it's so nice to see all your faces, and we feel like you're joining us for Tefillah, and it's very wonderful. We continue on page, what, Rabbi Chorny? Schatz?
176, and I don't have the others in front of me, but they're right here. I got it.
176, 147, or 413.
Yakum porkan min shemaya chinu v'chisav v'rachamei chayim. Maharani v'shmaya v'tzadchan v'wazan v'yadin v'namaramei v'shvach v'tin v'ramitzach v'yakov v'medad v'zarad korcha v'le'avay v'rachad. Ve'yishlach beracha ve'hatzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedeihem im kol Yisrael achehem v'nomar amen. A prayer for our country can be found on page 177 or
Oh.
I just don't have them.
Or 148 or 414.
Our God and God of our ancestors, with mercy accept our prayer on behalf of our country and its government. Pour out your blessing upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, its judges, officers, and officials who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice you have decreed so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land. Adonai, God whose spirit is in all creatures, we pray that your spirit be awakened within all the inhabitants of our land. Uproot from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife. Plant love and companionship, peace and friendship among the many peoples and faiths who dwell in our nation. Grant us the knowledge to judge justly, the wisdom to act with compassion, and the understanding and courage to root out poverty from our land. May it be your will that our land be a blessing to all who dwell on earth, and may you cause all peoples to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily fulfill the vision of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall I learn war any more. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest shall know me. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Cantor Troni will lead us in the prayer for the state of Israel on the next page.
Avinu Shabashamayim, Sur Yisrael v'goalo,
Barech
et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, Hagen Aleha bevrat chastecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha v'amicha l'rasheha, Sarecha v'yotzeha, B'takanim b'yitzah tova milfanecha, Chazek et yidei meginei eretz kodshenu, V'anchilem Eloheinu Yeshua, V'ater et nitzachon te'atrem, V'natata shalom ba'aretz, V'simchat olam liyosheveha, V'nomar Amen.
Ashrei can be found on page 181, or I think it's on your sheet.
Or
Page 151 or page 420.
Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yehalelu chasela. Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo, Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Elohav. Tehillah leDavid armimcha hamelech, ve'arecha shimecha le'olam va'ed.
V'chol yom v'avarcha v'lashimcha le'olam va'ed.
Gadol Adonai u'mehulam me'od, ve'ligdulato ein cheker.
Nor mishpach masecha u'veratecha yagidu.
Hadar kevod hodecha v'divrei niflotecha sicha.
V'zuz noratecha yomeru u'tilecha hasaprena.
Zecher rav tuvecha yabi u'vetzitkatcha yeranenu.
Hanum v'rachum Adonai Erech apayim muktocha hased.
Tov Adonai lakol v'rachamav al kol ma'asav.
V'dich Adonai kol ma'asecha v'chasitecha yivarchucha.
Kevod malchucha yomeru gvotcha udvratcha yedaberu.
V'hodia livdei
Thanks, Daniel.
Adam gevurota. Vod hadar malchuta.
Malchutcha malchut kol olamim hu memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador.
Adonai lechol hanofelim v'sohokef lechol hakufim.
Einei chol elecha yesaber ve'ata noten lahem et ochlam behitot.
Poteach et yadecha u'masvi halecho chayratzot.
Tzadik Adonai bechol drachav v'chasid bechol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lechol karav lechol asher yigrau v'emet.
Retzon yira'ah v'yaseh ve'et shavatam yishma v'yoshihem.
Shomer Adonai et kol ahava v'et kol arishayim yashmi.
Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi v'yivarech kol basar shem kol shalel ham v'hed. V'anachnu nivarech ya me'ata ve'ad olam.
Hallelujah.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav Shemo levado Hodo l'eretz v'shamayim v'yarem keren leyama Tehillah lechol chasidav Livnei Yisrael am kerova Hallelujah, Hallelujah Mizmor LeDavid Adonai lamabulia Shavayeshev Adonai melech leolam Adonai oz le'amo yitain Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom uvnucho yomar. Ki lekach tov natati lachem torati al tazavu eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomcheha Meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu what? I don't think so. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, you may be seated. I'm just going to give this very brief last third of our drash here. But before I do that, it's always lovely to be able to teach Torah in front of your teachers. And my former dean and good friend, Rabbi Shlomo Peretz, is here to celebrate Debbie. But it's just lovely to have you here. And I wear this talit, which is my ordination talit, every Shabbat. And even though it doesn't stay on, I am always very proud to wear it, but all the more so when you're here. So thank you for being here. And it's a pleasure to share Shabbat with you. So when I read these verses that, as Cantor Chorny mentioned, she chose for us to drash on this morning, I couldn't get past the fact that when I read these verses, it made me think of another story. Can someone else guess what the other story is? I'll read the verses for you again, just so you can hear them. I'm going to read them in English specifically because I think it might help with getting you to this other story. Please do not leave us, inasmuch as you know where we should camp in the wilderness and can be our guide. So if you come with us, we will extend to you the same bounty that Adonai grants us. Is there another story that comes to mind that has a similar experience in it? Ruth, Rabbi Elliot Dorff, ladies and gentlemen. So, another one of my teachers. Ruth. And I couldn't get past this comparison because, as we know from the story of Ruth, Ruth is the one who says, no, I'm going to stay, as opposed to in this moment where Moshe is begging his father-in-law to stay with him. And that juxtaposition to me was extremely interesting, both based on the characters of Moshe and Ruth, but also based on the familial experience, right? As we've now heard from both other rabbis, Moshe's father-in-law was being asked to stay, really because there was some sort of comfort in Yitro remaining with the people, whether it was because he had a different perspective on what was going on or because he was really loved by the people, which is a whole nother drash for another time, that a person in our Torah who is not Jewish is so beloved by our people that he is seen as one of our leaders and also has a whole parsha named after him where we receive the 10 Commandments. But the most interesting thing for me about this juxtaposition is that when we get this line that Moshe is saying, don't leave us, and if you don't leave us, here are all the things that I'm going to give you. Ruth is not promised anything. In fact, Ruth is promised nothing, which is why Naomi tells her to go, because if she leaves, she will have everything, as opposed to staying when she will have nothing. Sforno has a beautiful commentary that I'm only going to read the beginning of, but he understands this leaving as the future, your children. If your children depart, also you will be desecrating the name of the Lord among the nations. As they will say, if Yitro would have seen any merit in this religion, surely he and his sons would not have abandoned them. Now, I think that last piece is unfair to Yitro. After all, we know that he's done such amazing things for the people and really taken on so much of the love and the devotion to a people that he's really not even part of. But the piece of if you depart, then somehow your children will also be departing and will recognize the distance as opposed to this closeness that you've had before you leave us. That also reminds me of Ruth. Because again, she was not promised anything. And in fact, had she left Naomi, maybe she would have been able to continue a life that she knew, as opposed to now a life that she doesn't know. And yet, Ruth creates for us this line where one day we'll receive Mashiach. So, in thinking about Moshe to his father-in-law and Ruth to her mother-in-law, even though the experience is different in terms of Moshe begging his father-in-law to stay and Naomi urging her daughter-in-law to leave, the fact that Ruth stays and the fact that Yitro ultimately does not, I think actually shows a closeness in the relationship. It shows how we bring people in, and it shows how we connect them to what we want to be part of. So for Ruth, she knew she had to take care of her mother-in-law, even though she wasn't part of that people. And Yitro knew that if he didn't leave, Moshe would not be able to lead for himself. So I hope that you are, from all three of us, able to take something from these verses as a way of recognizing the promise and the power that Yitro really had as a character in our Torah. But specifically from this mini drash that I just gave, I hope you're able to think about the relationships in your life that you need to bring in close, or that at times you need to have distance from. Because the distance might bring that which you need closer. In the case of Yitro, he knew that Moshe would be a better leader without him, even if that was hard for Moshe. But for Ruth, she knew to become closer to something unknown, to an area of her life where she wasn't promised anything, because that was going to be what made her feel fulfilled. So my blessing for you this Shabbat is that you feel fulfilled in the relationships that you have in the Shabbat that you create, and that you are aware of the moments that you bring things close, and that for your own growth, you push things away. Shabbat Shalom. I'm doing Musaf, right? Okay. We're going to continue with Musaf. I still don't have the page numbers in front of me. Page 184.
155 or 428.
Fantastic. I was going to...
Yeah, I'm going to move to that side, yeah.
Rabbi Schatz will begin the Chatzi Kaddish. She'll begin the blessings of the Musaf out loud. Then we'll say the Kedusha with her, and then go back and say the Musaf Amidah quietly to ourselves.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברכיותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייך דויו, וכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לא מהומיה
יתברך, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Chastei Avot u'Mevi Goel Livnei v'Neihem Leman Shemo be'ahava Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Metim Atah Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechayei Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Baal Gevurot Umidom Elach Melech Memit Umechayei Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atale Hachayot Metim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei HaMetim Naritzecha v'nakdishecha kesod siach sarfei kodesh hamakdishim shimcha b'kodesh Kakatuv ya neviecha Yananai hai 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 nai nai hai nai nai oh hai 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 nai yo V'karzel zeh Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot Melech La'aretz Kevodo, Kevodo Malei Olam Meshartav Shoalim Ze Lazeh Hayeh Mekom Kevodo Le'umatam Baruch Yomeru Yainanai Yananai 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 na ya na 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 ya ya na ya na ya na na ya na ya na na ya na 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 ya na 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 Baruch Adonai mimkomo uifen merachamim ve'achonam hamiachadim shemo erev avoker bechol yom tamid pa'amayim me'ahava shema Shema Yisrael Elohecha. Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, Vehu Yashmienu, Beracham Hashenit, Leinei Kochai, Liot Lachem Le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Uvdirei Kodecha Katuv Lemor. Im lachanun alalam la yichzion ledor vador, hallelujah. Ledor vador, nagid golecha. Ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatcha nadish. Ledor vador, nagid golecha. Ulenetzach netzachim, kedushatcha nadish. V'shivcha Eloheinu mipinu, lo yamush le'olam va'ed, ki el melech gadol v'kadosh ata. Baruch atah Adonai el HaKadosh. If you have not yet finished your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. Kaddish Shalem can be found on page
203.
Page 203, page 181, or page 506. יתקדע וקדע שמי רבה, בהמה דברח יותר וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וממכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מהמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתבר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בהמה ויאמרו אמן. תתקבל צלון ובתהון דכל ישראל, קדם ובהון דבישמיה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. אין כאלוהינו אין כאדוננו אין כמלכנו אין כמושיענו מכאלוהינו מכאדוננו מכמלכנו מכמושיענו נודל אלוהינו נודל אדוננו נודל למלכנו נודל למושיענו ברוך אלוהינו ברוך אדוננו ברוך מלכנו ברוך מושיענו אתה הוא אלוהינו אתה הוא אדוננו אתה הוא מלכנו אתה הוא מושיענו אתה הוא שכתירו אבותינו לפניך כתורת הסמים ינאי נאי 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 ינאי 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 נאי ינאי נאי נאי עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהנו את השמיים ויעשה את זה. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Mourner's Kaddish, page 207, page 184, or page 512. יית גדל ויית קדש שמי רבה, בעלמה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Stuart, do you want to give announcements?
Oh.
We don't have them.
He was
but
about
do you
to
want to give
check
them?
out. It's like, nope. Oh, everybody read your email. Shortest announcements of all time.
We want to thank the Abels family and Deb Cohen for sponsoring today's Kiddush in honor of their smachot, and it's a virtual Kiddush.
And a
so
Yasher Koach.
those on Zoom can enjoy it just as much as we will.
And a Yasher Koach to Rabbi Kliefeld and to Mark Bernstein and to Noah Kliefeld for reading Torah and half Torah, some more on the fly than others. Anybody?
We can wave to the departing library minioners and say Shabbat Shalom to them.
Shabbat Shalom to the library minion. I think we could, okay. Kiddush?
Sure, I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Rabbi Kliefeld will lead us in
Do you
Kiddush.
want to do a Don first? Or just do Kiddush?
Oh, we can do a Don first.
Okay. And Mincha
All right.
tonight is at what time? Like 9?
7:40.
7:40.
If you come at 9, you will miss it.
Don't come at 7:40. We'll come on 7:40. We'll not be live. I mean, it will be live, but not be in person.
all great. Adonai Olam asher malach b'terem kol yetzir nivra le'nasa b'chefso kol az hamelech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh betifara ve'hu echad ve'ein shenim lehamshilo להכבירה ולראשי פלי תחליף ולא אחוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוסי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אבקיד רוחי בעת תישן ויעירה ואם רוחי גביעתי Adonai li velo ira Yainanai yananai nai nai Yainanai yananai nai yo Yainanai yananai nai nai Yainanai yananai nai nai. As Rabbi Klickfeld is preparing for Kiddush, just a reminder that next week there are 2 services available. The service on the field will be Hannah Harrison's Bat Mitzvah, and the service on the roof will be with Library Minyan. So those are the 2 services happening. If you are going to be on Zoom or live stream, you will be watching Hannah Harrison's Bat Mitzvah. And if you would like to come in person, you can go to either the Bat Mitzvah or Library Minyan.
And Yasher Koach to the Youth Learning and Engagement team for bringing back Shabbat Sandbox / Shabbat Yeladim, and welcome back to Daniel Mark and to the DeVerne family and to Daniel Chorney and to a bunch of other parents who are very excited to be back here with us because their children can play with teens.
ושמרו בני ישראל שבת לעשות שבת לדורתם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי שש ימים עשתה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ויום השביעי שבת וינבא שחור שום שבת לקדשו 6 ימים תעבוד ועשית כל מלאכתך ויום השביעי שבת לאדוני אלוהיך לא תעשה כל מלאכה אותה ובנך וביתך עבדך מלכו ובנתך וגרך אשר בשעריך כי שש ימים עשתה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ את הים והכל אשר בם וינח ביום השביעי כן בירך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו סרבים ארנן רבנן ורבותיי ברוך אתה אדוני מכל העולם בורא
Amen.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, it's only a brother. Good guys. Totally. Just like to pull off. Relationship is so beautiful. And I see the friends are also. Thank you. That's very sweet. Hello, good to see you. Good to see you too. How you doing? We've never met in person. Hi.
Well, this is my friend.
Oh, but yeah, I was like, we've never met. Awesome. Welcome. So nice. What are you doing? Visiting? So nice. I know. I'm doing that on Monday. My best friend. That's why I said to you. Yeah. Good. Yeah. It's really like the whole, like the hybrid experience of the conference. Trying to make sure that you're online feel cared for. Now you're back in person with people, it's obviously easier to do that.
By the way, when you get done with your challenge, sometime in December, let's have
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. That's very sweet.
Literally.
You don't have to do anything. So.
I know, but it would be nice to see you because I know you got a lot.
Yeah, I'm around all summer. So.
I'll send you a note.
Well, it's so nice to meet you. Come visit again.
Yeah,
Oh, good. Making the mom happy is always great. Yeah.
Good to see you.
Hi. So. just thought it was a happy Thanksgiving Day. I wasn't sure if it was overlapping. I'm good.